Hey folks, Dave from Posing the Matrix. How are you? I'm doing pretty good myself. Thank you for asking if you did. If you didn't, I'm still doing good, and I will continue to do good. I mean, feel good and everything else. And I'll continue to do good also. Okay. All right, we got that out of the way. Today's the 17th of March, and it's 1:11 in the afternoon, excuse me. And beautiful day here yesterday, and it's a beautiful day again today. It was 70 degrees yesterday, and on March 16th in Oregon. That's saying something right there. So looking forward to maybe some more nice weather today. What do you think about that, huh? Good. Today's show is brought to you by Bigfoot. See him on the back door there? Okay. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I think he's real. I think he's interdimensional being that, for lack of a better word, spiritual. And so he's definitely not one of the good guys, but he's real. Okay, real in the same way that the angels are real and the fallen angels are real and all that good stuff. Anyway, so I was sitting around the other day, which I don't get to do very much, believe it or not, for being retired and stuff and being hurting all the time and stuff. I'm always on the go. I always got to be doing something. I don't like to be idle. I hate being idle. I really do. Although sometimes the nap feels really good. But anyway, I was watching. There's a guy online. His name is Tusi. Meyer, Mahyer is his first name, and the last name is Tousi. Meyer Tusi, and he's got a news service online, and he's in contact with a lot of people in Iran right now, and his father's there, his sister's there, and a lot of other people, and so he gets a lot of live things sent to him, live video and things, and so it's been really good to watch him because not only does he show these things, but if there's somebody speaking in Farsi, he's able to translate, and that's really good. And I guess if people are speaking in Arabic too, he can translate that. So, but yeah, if anybody's got hold on a second, folks. This mic is just a little too sensitive now. It used to be it wasn't sensitive at all. Now it's way too sensitive. Anyway. If anybody's got a fatwa on him, it's Meyer Tusi. But yeah, so check him out online. He's on there most of the time when it's daytime in Britain, okay? Because that's where he's located, in London. Where in London, I don't know. And maybe it's a good thing I don't know, because if I said it and somebody was looking for him, you know what I mean? I don't want to give them any clues, so. Okay. So I was watching this, and I was watching the things that are going on in the war over there, and I was like, man, this is going to turn out so good. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of attrition that goes on there, because there's going to be some schmucks that aren't killed, and they're going to be working in the background to try to sabotage stuff, like in every scenario. But after a while, that'll all get cleaned up. I mean, after World War II, there were still people that were loyal to Nazism that were running around Germany trying to kill American and British and Soviet soldiers, and just creating lots of mayhem. But and they knew the war was over. They just for them it wasn't, and they just wanted to keep things going and hopefully to turn things around so people's sentiments would change and they could chase the Americans out of Germany and out of Europe. Not just Americans, but the British and everybody else that was fighting and had place in Germany there. So, anyway, yeah, there will be some attrition that goes on there. But it's not going to be as bad as it has been for the last 47 years. So, yeah, 1979 is when things started to go downhill, and went downhill quite rapidly, actually. I remember I was 20 years old at that time, and I remember hearing the news and how the Shah had fled Iran, excuse me, and how he I think he first came to the United States and then later went to Europe or something, Paris or something like that. and but he was very sick. He had cancer, and so he didn't last very long after he went into exile. But he did leave behind at least one child, a son. I think there's more than that, but the eldest son is the crown prince. The word Shah means king, if you didn't know that in Farsi. And so when they're out there yelling out Javad Shah, they're saying long live the king. So that's cool, you know. And his son, when he gets on TV and he talks, he seems like he's a pretty good guy, a pretty fair guy. And let's hope that you know he's an example of good for the Iranian people, and also for those in Iran that want to create mayhem. Maybe they'll see what a nice guy this is, if he is, and lay their weapons down and surrender, or just quietly scurry out of Iran. So, yeah, Iran's had quite a history just in my lifetime. You know, it's wow. So there was that, and then there was a war they had with Iraq or Iraq, and other things that have gone on. Their sponsorship of terrorism, because they sponsored Hamas, they sponsored Hezbollah, they sponsored I think they sponsored Al Qaeda for a while, and maybe ISIS, and but anyway, all of Israel's enemies they sponsored, making it a proxy war. Of course, you hear that term; it just means that other people are fighting for you. So what they would do is they would just give them money to survive, of course, these fringe groups, and also and give them weapons of not mass destruction, but of destruction. And so it went like that for quite a few years. But I don't want to get into too much of the history, because we're going to talk about today, or I'm going to talk about or read about, maybe pick your word what you want to use there. I did a little thinking the other day. I was like, wow, what's the world going to be like when this is over? Because they sponsored so much terrorism. There's that's going to kind of dry up for the most part. It's not going to totally go away, but it'll dry up for the most part. And it'll just be so different. Israel maybe can live in relative peace for a little while without having missiles lobbed at it all the time. The different proxy groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, won't be receiving the money anymore, nor will they be receiving arms. So you can't fight if you don't have arms, right? You can't shoot a gun if you don't have bullets. So, and you could pew pew, but that doesn't kill anybody. So anyway, yeah, I was thinking about this, and I was like, okay, so let's think about what about what are going to be the benefits for both Iran and the rest of the world, including the United States, of course, when this regime is finally gone, totally gone. Their proxies, I can never remember the acronym, ILGZ or something like that. I'll get that straightened out when I look at my notes here. But yeah. When they're finally put to rest, and I mean put to rest, as in killed, then things will get a lot better. So it's kind of hard to understand the Western way of thinking, because the Middle Eastern way of thinking, the Eastern way of most countries, anywhere east of Europe, is that when if you've got an enemy, you just take them out. You don't try to negotiate. You don't, it doesn't do you any good to try to make nice with evil people. So you try to take them out as much as you can. And if they're left over afterwards, all the skirmishes are done, everything, then you make a court, kind of like they had back in when they had the Germans on trial after World War II. If that happens again, this time with Iran being the headquarters of the trials and stuff that are going to go on, then that would be awesome. But it's not over till it's over, and there's going to be a lot of a lot of jurisprudence going on in Iran here in the next 2, 5, 10 years maybe. So, but I'm really happy that Iran has right now they have such a wonderful relationship with Israel. They know that the Jews are good people. They've been dealing with Jews since Darius and Cyrus, maybe even before that. They know that a word of honor is a word of honor, and they also know that the Israelis are quite cognizant of the fact that you keep your friends close, but you keep your enemies closer. So I put this little thing together here. I'm going to read from, and I hope with all the reading I'm not boring people. I really hope not, because it's not my intent. I just want to educate. Okay, and I know sometimes with reading it can sound monotonous, and I don't want it to sound that way. And it may even be a good idea if, from starting today and every show afterwards, I show movies every once in a while. Kind of gives me a break, and it gives you a break from hearing me read. Okay, let me get a drink of iced tea here. Yes, it's really iced tea. I don't drink alcohol. Okay, so I asked myself a question the other day, and it was, what kind of good is going to come when Iran becomes a free democratic society, a secular society? How will that benefit the United States, and how will it benefit the rest of the world at large? And also, how will it benefit Iran? Okay. So I tried to consider all possibilities, societal, religious, economic, everything. So I found out later on that projecting a free, democratic, and secular Iran requires thinking across many dimensions, even more than I just mentioned, just the last sentence. Geopolitics, economics, religion, culture, science, and social stability are just a few of the aspects you have to look at and get nailed down. So no one can predict the future, and certainly the future with certainty. Excuse me. But analysts generally agree that such a transformation could have major global ripple effects. Okay. That doesn't mean they're bad ripple effects, by the way. So I've broken this down into 3 parts. The first part is how would the world benefit when Iran becomes a free and democratic republic. The second part is going to be how would the world look if the revolution in Iran had never happened in 1979. And the third part is going to be about, it slips my mind right now, but there is a third part, okay? So, let's see. So how would the world benefit when Iran becomes a free and democratic republic? I mean, this is... first of all, the Iranians they're going to be dealing with something haven't had. Some of the generations that are alive there have never known what freedom is. So that's going to be an interesting thing, and I hope that they learn or are taught by the older generations that freedom is not free. And I think they're realizing that and figuring that out real quick. But that it takes work to maintain it. You don't just get yourself free and then you just skip down the road free willy-nilly. You just no. It takes work to keep freedom, to keep free people free. And Americans, we can definitely amen to that because we've been doing it for 250 years now, and so far it works. But when you let things slide, and we've done that before here in this country, you let things slide, and the minute that you're not watching something, the enemy tries to sneak something in, and it happens each and every time. And sometimes we've paid one heck of a price for not keeping vigilant and watching for the enemy to commit his wile, so to speak, and to make our lives miserable, which he's really good at. I don't like to give him credit for anything, but he's got it. You got to give him credit for being incredibly crafty at being evil. All right, so let's see. Again, how would the world benefit when Iran becomes free and democratic republic? Okay, so economic benefits for the world. Okay, not just Iran, but for the world. A democratic Iran reintegrated into the global economy could produce significant economic gains. Excuse me, a little tongue-tied there. So energy markets, for example. Iran possesses some of the largest oil and gas reserves in the world. Yes, it does. Oh, I'll bet you all the oil companies are foaming at the mouth, wanting to talk to the leadership of these countries to see if they could drill there. I can't imagine it being any different than what I'm imagining. So rejoining global markets could add roughly 1.5 million barrels of oil per day to the global supply. Hey, that's good news. Okay, that additional supply could potentially lower global oil prices by around 10%, okay, benefiting energy importing nations. But you know what? Don't look for the gas to go down 10% right away. Remember, they can raise it up overnight, but it takes months to bring it down. So go figure. So how would this help? Well, this would help the United States consumers by lowering the gasoline prices. And I say amen and hallelujah to that. For Europe, with the extra oil and stuff that comes from Iran, there would be less dependency on Russian energy. Russia seems to have the firm hold and knowledge that they can kind of blackmail and extort money out of Europe. So this could put an end to that. Okay, developing countries that struggle with energy costs, it'll help them. Okay, and let's see, trade and investment. Once sanctions disappear, Iran could reconnect to global supply chains. Foreign companies could invest in infrastructure, technology, and manufacturing. Right? Yeah. One thing you got to remember: the Iranians are not stupid people. Okay. The Iraqis, I can't say that about them. They're not the smartest people. The same with the Syrians and the Lebanese and the Egyptians for the most part, and every other country around there. They seem to be, each one seems to be a little bubble off on their level, so to speak. But the Iranians have always had a good head about them, and they're smart people, like I said, and they don't let things slide. They keep a good eye on. When they become free again, they're going to keep a good eye on everybody around them, of course, and on anybody that brings anything into or around their cities or houses that could invite in bad spirits. It's so easy for people to do that. Okay, let's see. So Iran roughly has 85 million people. I've heard 90, I've heard 85, okay. They have large natural resources, large amounts, I should say. And an educated population. Okay, there we go. Very educated, okay. And they're when they set out to do something, they don't stop. Take for instance some of the things that were blown up, what was it, last June? Some of the tunnels and stuff, and the laboratories are blown up. Well, they got right to fixing them up and remaking them, and even moving them and digging new tunnels and everything. And very resourceful. Okay, I thought I heard a noise, folks. I'm sorry. They're very resourceful, and they don't stop until what they're doing is, for instance, look at the nuclear program that the mullahs had going there. It's they built it up from nothing, obviously, and they were just real close to making enough purity in uranium to make the bomb. So I'm glad that Mr. Trump went in there and he's doing what he's doing. So. And also and all the other countries and stuff, and also the Iranian people, who are the bravest people I've ever seen. So So, all in all, it could become a major emerging economy. Okay. Uh, let's see. Stability in the Middle East. In that regard, Iran currently plays a role in many religious regional conflicts. These include, but are not limited to, Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, or Iraq. And don't forget, if I think you're listing terrorist states here, not necessarily people. So much of this conflict comes from sectarian rivalry and geopolitical competition, particularly with Saudi Arabia. Okay, Saudi Arabia is kind of like the queen mother of Sunni Islam in that area, and it's the Saudis are all in all pretty nice people, I guess, and but the philosophy of Islam, you have the nicest person in the world, but then if they tell you they're Islamic, then the potentials for your relationship souring grow exponentially. Okay. A democratic Iran focuses on domestic prosperity, and it could shift priorities. So potential outcomes: reduce of proxy wars. In other words, like Hezbollah warring with Israel and Hamas warring with Israel. Less funding of militant groups. Oh, that's nice. That's good to hear, actually. It's a waste, folks. It really is, and. Even Western countries like the countries of Europe and the United States were donating millions and millions of dollars or materials like concrete, and instead of building schools and stuff for the population, they were building bunkers with the concrete. It's like, come on, man. It's like, but from my understanding is that the Iranian, or not the Iranian, but the mullahs and stuff are I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. But we were talking about proxy wars and Hamas and Hezbollah fighting Israel, or both were both being supported by Iran, both monetarily and with weapons. So it's if that's reduced, then a lot of that's going to dry up within time. And if there are groups of people, they'll probably splinter up, and a lot of them will probably go and do nothing, and some of them will still want to bring a pound of something here or something like that. Bring it in. So let's see. And greater regional diplomacy. It's hard. Islam is made up of two major factions. One of them's the Sunnis, the other one's the Shiites. And this all stems from when Muhammad died. He died. They say he went to heaven, but, that's poppycock. He left some heirs, and there was an argument about which one is the right heir. One of them was Ali, and I can't remember the other one, but the branch of Islam, the Shias, that were major religions in Iran. They're always the more militant ones, and the Sunnis were the more the peaceful ones. And I don't know if it was always that way, but my education and stuff and things that I've witnessed, it seems to be true. But it's you couldn't. Pardon me. If you have it's kind of like England, the Protestants in England and the Catholics in Ireland. You got two faiths that claim to be founded on Christian principles and everything, but they can't stand each other and they kill each other. It's not so much anymore, but back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, my goodness, there's bombs going off in Belfast and in London and everything all the time by the IRA and other fractions. But so those two don't get along, and if they don't get along, none of them get along with the Jews. That's changing, though. That's really changing for the good. And then the Turks, you throw the Turks in. and they don't get along with one group of Islamics and do with another. So it's with Iran becoming a secular state that the funky function of the clerics, the wickedness of the Shiite branch of Islam is no longer there, or will no longer be there soon, and it'll be nice because it's going to be one less reason for people to fight each other. So, but if they can't get along with each other and they can't get along, how are you going to do diplomacy? The only thing you can appeal to when people are like that is to their sense of lust for money and for other things, things that don't necessarily make a society better, but sure do help to make it a little more stable, so to speak. So this could significantly lower the overall violence level in the Middle East. So let's look at number 3, safer global energy and shipping routes. Okay. So Iran controls the Straits of Hormuz, and I don't know if you've seen the news lately, but they threatened to block it, and I think they did block it. And so you have your Gulf, and then you have this little strip of water that goes by like the countries like UAE and stuff like that, and Iran, and then goes out into the Arabian Sea. But I think it's only 20 miles or something wide. This is not isthmus. Hold on, folks. This body of water. So, if you take into effect that, countries usually claim, let's just say 12 miles, okay, of the waterway is theirs, okay, from the shoreline out, 12 miles. So if the waterway is only 20 miles long, and each country on the left and right are going, that's 12 and 12 is 24. So there has to be international agreements, and there are, that there's an area where it's a very thin area where these ships can go through and actually pass without being molested, or theoretically without being molested. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But anytime one of these mullahs got a burr up his saddle, must be nice. They threatened to close the Straits of Hormuz. So, and they're doing it right now, as a matter of fact. And it's if you're closing it to affect your enemy, then that's okay. But these ships that are going through there, they're not necessarily have anything to do with the United States or Israel or anybody else. But they're being harmed. Commerce is being harmed, and my understanding is that Bush is going to do something about that really soon. I think he's probably going to go in with a whole lot of Navy ships and sink these Iranian vessels, these smaller ones that are reaping havoc on the navies of and the commercial tankers and stuff of the other countries. So let's see. Okay, about 1/5 of global energy trade passes through this narrow waterway. 1/5. That's a lot. That's 20%. All right. A cooperative Iranian government could mean safer shipping, fewer threats to oil tankers, and lower insurance costs for shipping. You got to got companies like Lloyd's of London and stuff giving policies to these ships and stuff that are going through there. It's a good way to go broke if you're an insurance company and you want that. So anyway, when with a free Iran, a secular democracy or whatever, the entire global economy is gonna reap benefits from that. Okay, now strengthening a global democratic order. If Iran transitions to democracy, which it will be one of the largest democratic countries in the Middle East. I can't think of a country that's larger than Iran. Yeah, in the Middle East, I think that's it. But that's a lot of territory right there. Uh, let's see. So what would this do? This could weaken the idea that authoritarian regimes are necessary for stability. That seems to be the thought these days, and has been for quite a while. And strengthen the global democratic norms. All right. You notice that democratic norms. So, we're talking about Western values here, not necessarily Chinese values or anything like that. And I don't know. For the United States specifically, there'll be fewer ideological confrontations and potential strategic partnership we'll have with them. It'll be another step closer to a lot of places there that our military needs to be able to go to if need be. Let's see. So what about scientific and technological benefits? Excuse me while I get another sip here. And it's 69 degrees in here, folks. 69.3. I love spring. And it hasn't even come here yet. Okay, so scientific and technological benefits. Iran has a highly populated educated population. Highly educated population, okay. Especially in science and engineering. Two good fields. Let's see. Many talented Iranians left the country after the 1979 revolution. That is always the way. Whenever a country changes for the bad, the good people split. And rightfully so. I can't really blame them. But if they kept a lot of the parts, this will be good. Let's see, if the scientists and the engineers start moving back, I think the sky's the limit. And one thing that's really changing, and it's making me really happy, is the population is, because of all the atrocities of Islam that's been perpetrated on the people, was almost hundreds of thousands of people were murdered in the last few weeks. I think I have my numbers right. In case I don't, I apologize, but it has to be. I know one figure was 31,000, but there's been a lot more than that. And I think when all the truth comes out later on, we're going to realize that they murdered a lot more people than we even thought was happening. So, okay, so you got all these people coming back. So now the Iranian diaspora, and diaspora is just another term for the ones that live outside the country, that are spread away from their homeland. You have that diaspora. They have the Jewish diaspora. Okay. Let's see. So it's Italian. The Iranian this diaspora numbers 4 to 7 million people, 4 through 7 million people worldwide. If Iran opened politically, which it will, I'm sure. Scientists and entrepreneurs might return. Billions in diaspora investments could flow into the country. Let's see. Research collaboration with Western universities would expand. So that's all good and pleasant news, actually. Behold how good and precious are the feet of those who bring good news. Okay, this could create a major technological hub similar to South Korea or Turkey. I don't see Turkey as being a technological hub, but South Korea definitely is. So, okay, number 6, cultural and religious effects. Let's see. Secular Iran could have profound religious implications in the Muslim world. You know what? I didn't finish my thing before. One of the neatest things that's happening with this revolution and people being tired of all this Islamic stuff and all the suffering they've done under Islam for the last 47 years, they're looking for other things, and rightfully so. And would you figure it? This is the time that Yahweh starts entering into their lives, giving their men and women dreams and visions about Him. And there's not a day goes by that I don't read a brand new one online that says, hey, I was a Muslim so-and-so, and I got saved the other day. Really neat stuff, So there is a major revival going on in Iran, and, bring them all home, Lord. Just bring them all back to Iran so that they can prosper in their land once more. Let's see. So when it comes to the profound religious implications in the Muslim world, the possibilities include reduced sectarian tension. Iran won't be giving money to all these little groups to fight each other or to fight against Israel. The current Iranian government is closely tied to Shia political theology, which is a warlike theology. A secular system could, produce religious and geopolitical competition. And the second one, lower Sunni Shia polarizations across the region. I had a dream about a week ago of this happening, of the end of the war in Iran and people getting along with each other and stuff. It was quite interesting. Okay, so increased religious freedom. Let's see. A secular democratic system would likely allow Muslims of different sects, SECTX, Christians, Jews, Baha'i, and secular citizens. It will allow them to practice very freely, or almost without problem at all. That would transform Iran's social landscape, and it'd be funny. In 5 years' time, you go from a country that was religiously oppressive to one that's religiously, I don't like that word, but religiously open and caring for other people and stuff. It's going to be amazing. I see a lot of good going to happen in Iran. So let's see. Perhaps the greatest impact would be inside Iran itself. So the current problems that are going on there: high inflation, corruption, sanctions, and restricted freedoms, like there's no tomorrow. Especially if you're a woman in Iran, it's not easy. Economic mismanagement and corruption have wasted huge oil revenues over decades. Yeah, I can see that. A more transparent system could lead to, higher incomes, stronger institutions, better health care and education, and lower corruption. So, reduce nuclear tensions. Okay. Let's see. Iran's nuclear program has been one of the world's biggest security concerns. A democratic government might... Okay, first one might... cooperate with international nuclear agreements, reduce proliferation fears, and lower the chance of war in the region. Yeah, can you imagine that peace in the Middle East, finally? That alone would dramatically improve global security. Yeah, it would. Number 9, migration and humanitarian effects. Well, political repression and economic hardship have caused many Iranians to leave. Iranians making up the diaspora around the world. A stable democratic system could reduce refugee flows, allow the diaspora to return, and to stabilize regional migration patterns. There's too many in the world today that are moving around. It's just, it's just too much. Okay. And Europe in particular would benefit from this. Okay. So what about long-term global influence? If Iran or Iran developed economically and politically, it could become something like the Germany of the Middle East, or a large democratic economy connecting Central Asia and the Middle East and Europe. Yeah, it bothers me. I like I like accuracy in English and in speech. And when they call Iran the Middle East, it's not. It's Southeast Asia, or Southwest Asia, excuse me. Southeast Asia is Vietnam and stuff like that. But Southwest Asia is definitely Iran. Its geographic position alone makes it worth the strategic bridge. Okay. So the big picture, if Iran became free secular democracy, the potential global benefits could economically be cheaper energy, new markets, and global investment. Geopolitically, it could be less Middle East conflict, safer shipping lanes, and reduced nuclear tensions. Culture. The cultural, now let's look at a more religious freedom and stronger global academic exchange. Strategic things, stronger democratic alliances, and less authoritarian influence. Oh boy, that's going to be a good thing. One thing you might, let's see, never mind. Now there's some geographical thinkers, we're going to move on to something else, okay? Some political thinkers believe that Iran could become one of the most powerful nations in the Middle East if it were fully integrated into the global economy. Its population, resources, location, and diaspora network could make it a major regional powerhouse. Okay, so let's look at our second category here. What Iran might look like today if the 1979 Islamic Revolution had never occurred. Before we do that, I have a video to kind of show you what Iran was like before the revolution. It's going to be like any other place on earth, right? Where freedom exists, that is. You could compare it with Los Angeles, New York, Paris, any place in the free Western world, and you'll see that. So, and it's a really good video because it explains a lot of history, and it also explains, well, you'll see. You'll see what it explains. Okay, let's see what we got here. Iran history. I got a bad habit of calling it Iran. It's Iran. All right, so let's see. Iran history. There we go.
Iran before revolution in 1979. As it is known that the Islamic Revolution of 1979 brought seismic changes to Iran, and many people wonder what Iran looked like before the revolution. Therefore, this video aims to provide a brief overview of Iran before the revolution. So, without any further ado, let's get started. 1. Who was the leader of Iran before the revolution? Before the revolution in 1979, Iran was a monarchical country. The country was led by the Pahlavi dynasty under Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. He was the last Shah of the Imperial State of Iran from September 16, 1941, until his overthrow in the Iranian Revolution on February 11, 1979. Under his leadership, Iran embraced Westernization. However, the tendency of Westernization to obliterate languages and cultural forms of other peoples also aroused widespread opposition in the country. 2. How was the modernization and Westernization in Iran before the revolution? After 1953, Iran entered a phase of close relations with the United States, modernization, and Westernization. During the close relationship between Iran and the U.S. era, the Shah implemented the White Revolution in 1963. The Shah's close ties to the United States and his White Revolution program soon angered some Iranians, particularly the hardcore Islamic conservatives. The program was launched to transform Iran into a modern and competitive, aka westernized, society. The program was economically successful and led to rapid urbanization and westernization. However, the benefits of the program were not distributed evenly outside of urban areas. Moreover, many people also perceived Westernization and modernization damaged Iranian religion and culture and left the people without their traditional social and religious moorings. 3. How was the Iranian nuclear program was conducted before the revolution? The nuclear program of Iran was launched in the 1950s with the help of the U.S. In 1967, the Tehran Nuclear Research Center, TNRC, was established and the research center was run by the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, AOI. At that time, the TNRC was equipped with a US-supplied and Iran received its first 5-megawatt research reactor, and the reactor was known as the Tehran Research Reactor, TRR. Furthermore, the reactor was powered by highly enriched uranium, HU, and it can produce up to 600 grams of plutonium a year. The participation of the US and Western European states in Iran's nuclear program continued until the 1979 Iranian Revolution. Eventually, after the 1979 revolution, most of the international nuclear cooperation with Iran was cut off.
I'll kind of give you an idea of what Iran was like, but you can find other videos online. I mean, they were no different than in America. I mean, women were walking around. I don't agree with this dress style, but they were walking around in mini skirts and very really revealing clothes. And I could see how that would upset the more mainstream clerics. Okay, because that's it's just something you shouldn't do. But to each his own, I guess. But when a whole society starts doing it, it starts bothering people. And just like things that happen in the United States and Europe and stuff, grind against our grain, But, yeah, it's people with regular haircuts and women with their 60s hairdos that drive me nuts. It's just, I don't see... I see pictures of women in the 60s. It's like, no, nothing attractive here. I mean, here and there, one or two, but it's, yeah, so I can't, whatever. Anyway, and, people were into buying cars and getting a good job and good retirement plans and the whole thing. And that's what the White Revolution is all about. Why they called it the White Revolution, I have no idea. But basically, it was to bring Iran into a more modern day, kind of to mix it in with the world so that the world could be familiar with Iran and Iran could be familiar with the world, and that there wouldn't be strangeness like what's happened for the last 47 years. You're afraid to say anything or do anything for every time the United States did something, we were labeled the Great Satan. It's... by the clerics in Iran, that is. So, whatever. So, anyway, let's, I guess, continue with the reading. Okay. So, what Iran might look like today if the 1979 Islamic Revolution had never happened. The comparison is honestly staggering. Okay, it really is. Yes, let's see. All right, so let's see. Let me go down here. So before the revolution, under Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, it was undergoing extremely rapid modernization, very, very rapid, coming up to date with to be on par with the rest of the Western world, basically. Let's see. All right. Between 1959, that was a very good year, by the way, 1972, Iran's economy grew about 9.8% per year. That's good. One of the fastest growth rates in the world at that time. The Shah knew what he was doing. He was doing a good job. It's just that anytime you send religious people, and I'm not talking about regular believers, I'm talking about religious people. Anytime you send them in to do something, they'll always ruin whatever you send them in to do. But let's see. Okay. Let's see. Okay, many historians say that Iran looked like it was heading toward something similar to South Korea or Turkey, a large, modern industrial power. So let's walk through what Iran might look like today if trajectory had continued. Okay. So if the Shah was never thrown out and society was never changed, Iran might be one of the richest countries in the world. In the 1970s, Iran experienced an oil boom and was investing heavily in industry and infrastructure. By 1976, Iran had the largest economy in the Middle East. Don't you just love a success story? I do too. If that growth had continued uninterrupted, possible modern scenario would be, let's see, we're looking at the GDP of different nations there. Turkey would be 1.1 trillion, South Korea 1.7 trillion, and Iran $1 to $2 trillion. Okay. And like we said before, Iran has a massive oil field or underground, huge natural gas reserves, a large population of around 85 million people, and strategic trade location. So economists believe that Iran could have become the top 20 have become one of the top 20 world economies. So, number 2, Tehran might look like a global megacity. Before the revolution, Tehran was becoming a cosmopolitan international city. Western culture, universities, fashion, and industry were rapidly expanding. Had that continued, Tehran today might resemble something like Dubai, Istanbul, or Seoul, South Korea. So, possible features, massive financial district, global tech companies, major universities, and international tourism. Wow. Okay. What's got here? Yeah, possible features, massive financial district, global tech companies, major universities, international tourism. Let me check something here, folks, real quick. 52 minutes, okay. Just got to check something later. She could have become the financial capital of the Middle East. Okay. Number 3, Iran could be a scientific superpower. Iran already had strong universities before 1979. The Persian people, folks, are very intelligent, very, I don't know what the word to use. It's a word for extreme intelligence. I mean, genius capability. A lot of them. So research shows that before the revolution, Iran's scientific output exceeded that of countries like South Korea and Taiwan. If that trend had continued, Iran today might have, there's 4 bullet points here. Number 1, a major space program. Wouldn't that be interesting? Iran having its own space program. It's not too late. It could still happen. I mean, they're going to have a few years of cleanup to do there, but afterwards, there's a good possibility. Let's see, large technology sector and globally ranked universities. Yeah, not like the West, folks. Universities in other countries are people go there to learn, not to party and not to get their heads full of liberal mush. Okay. Globally ranked university said that. Major AI and engineering industries. So, and this is all things that could happen with the change that's coming our way or their way. And it could resemble South Korea, Israel, or Germany. Israel is another very scientific and intelligent society. In scientific outfit, that is. The Middle East might be much more stable. Many conflicts today involve Iran. Yes. Without the revolution, likely events that might have never happened. The Iran-Iraq War, 1980 through 1988. I didn't realize that war went for 8 years. Hezbollah creation, so the terrorists that have entrenched themselves in Lebanon. and are being financed by Iran. They're called the Hezbollah. I think it means God's army. Hezbollah creation. Okay, the major Iran-Saudi proxy conflict. Okay, and the nuclear standoff with the West. That would never happen. The Middle East could look very different. Very, very different had that not happened. Okay. So, possibility, stronger U.S.-Iran alliances, less sectarian conflict, and fewer proxy wars. Okay. I had to think there for a minute, folks. Sorry. Sometimes I gotta focus all my attention into thinking. All right, so number 5, Iran might be a major U.S. ally, and it will be again. So before 1979, Iran was actually one of America's closest allies in the region. Iran bought huge amounts of advanced American military equipment, which they're still using that, by the way, and it's very antiquated now. The U.S. relied on Iran as a regional stabilizing power. It's a shame that this all went down. It really is. So if that relationship continued, Iran today might be similar to Japan, which is a U.S. ally, and South Korea, which is a strategic partner. All right, ladies, here we go. Women's rights and social freedom would be much greater. Before the revolution, women could dress freely, women voted, women attended universities, and women worked in professions. Then a bunch of gay white guys came in and made the Islamic Republic, and hence we have what we have, I guess, or what we had. So these reforms were part of the Shah's White Revolution modernization program. If that trajectory continued, Iran might resemble Turkey or parts of Europe. In terms of social freedom, Iran might be a major trade hub. Geographically, Iran sits at an extraordinary crossroads. The Middle East, Central Asia, Europe, and India all cross the area to. It used to be part of the spice route and stuff like that. So a stable Iran could become a global trade corridor connecting China, Central Asia, Middle East, and Europe. Think of something like modern Silk Road. Here we go. Modern Silk Road hub. Okay, number 8. The global energy market would look very different. Iran holds some of the largest oil and gas reserves on Earth. Without sanctions and isolation, Iran could be one of the world's top 3 energy exporters. And that alone could reshape global, a major supplier in Europe and Asia. And that alone could reshape global politics. Number 9, the cultural impact could be huge. Iran has one of the world's oldest civilizations. It's all over the Bible. In a more open society, you might see Iranian cinema dominating film festivals. Persiawood, I guess you'd call it. Persiawood, yeah. Persian culture spreading globally. And tourism to ancient sites like Persepolis exploding. Iran could become major cultural centers like Italy and Greece. Number 10, the biggest difference, lost momentum. One fascinating study looked at Iran's trajectory compared with other countries. It found that after the revolution, Iran's development path diverged sharply from its previous growth trend. In other words, the revolution was a major historical fork in the road. Okay. Let's see. What Iran might look like today. Simplified version. So it's kind of like a wrap-up here. Large democratic and constitutional monarchy. Economy similar to South Korea or Turkey. It would be a major scientific and tech hub. It would be a powerful but cooperative regional leader, and it would be strong trade links between Asia and Europe. It might be one of the most influential countries on Earth. All right. So we're going to go into the third and last, as far as I can remember, section. How are we doing on time, by the way? All right, 1 hour exactly. Okay. So, how Iran revolution may have indirectly shaped events like 9/11, ISIS, and the modern Middle East power structure. It upset a lot of apple carts, let's put it that way. The chain reaction is pretty remarkable. Yes, let's see. So in 1979, the Iranian Revolution created a chain of reaction in the Middle East that still shapes geopolitics today. See how it influenced things like 9/11, ISIS, and the modern power structure. We need to follow the historical domino effect that unfolded after the revolution. And let's see, let's walk through the major steps of the chain, okay, shall we? Okay, number one, the revolution created a new ideological model. When the Shah fell in 1979 and Ayatollah Khomeini established an Islamic Republic, it introduced a completely new political model. It's a theocratic revolutionary state. That sounds like something out of the mid-ages, doesn't it? Like sounds like a Roman Catholic title or something. The ideology combined political Islam, anti-Western nationalism, and Shia revolutionary theory. The new leadership also provided the idea that Islamic revolution should spread beyond Iran. That immediately frightened their neighboring governments. Yeah, they did. Man, I'm telling you, it's. I remember it because the Saudis were freaking out. All the all the Sunni countries around there, the more peaceful loving Islamics were really worried that Iran would eventually overrun them, The biggest geopolitical consequence was rivalry between Iran, which is a Shia revolutionary state, and Saudi Arabia, which is a Sunni monarchy. This rivalry eventually became what analysts call the Middle East Cold War. After 1979, both countries began supporting competing factions across the region, including in Okay. All right. Let's create. Okay. The Iran-Iraq War. Hold on a second, folks. Let's see. I was 52. This is one. Okay. I got to remember that. 52 minutes and 103. An hour and 3 minutes. Okay. Let's see. Okay. The Iran-Iraq War militarized the region. 1 year after the revolution, Saddam Hussein invaded Iran. The results were thus. The Iran-Iraq War, 1980 through 1988, this war killed roughly 1 million people, militarized the entire region, and normalized proxy warfare. Great. Many militant groups and paramilitary organizations that exist today trace their origins to this era. The rise of militant proxy networks. After the revolution, Iran began building influence through non-state militia groups or militant groups. Examples include Hezbollah in Lebanon, militias in Iraq, and armed groups in Syria and Yemen. These groups became part of what analysts call the axis of resistance, a network of Iran-aligned organizations across the region. This dramatically reshaped the Middle East power structure. Instead of only nation states, you now had the powerful armed movements influencing politics. The revolution intensified Sunni-Shia conflict. The revolution was explicitly Shia Islamist, okay? Sunni powers feared that Iran would encourage uprisings among Shia minorities. In response, many Sunni governments began promoting their own form of political Islam as a counterweight. Okay. Let's see. Okay. The sectarian polarization fueled later extremist movements. Some researchers trace the roots of modern militant groups like ISIS partly to these regional sectarian tensions that followed the revolution. Now, how this connects to Al-Qaeda and 9/11. Okay, first, it is my opinion, okay, mine alone, and this is for entertainment purposes only. Okay, we're safe now. 9/11 was an inside job. I don't think it had very much to do with Saudi Arabia or Islamists. I think it was an inside job, and I think there are plenty of things to prove that it was. So, okay, all right, yeah, and the individuals at the time that were leading this country were probably connected to it. Okay, how this connects to Al Qaeda and 9/11. The connection of 9/11 is indirect but significant. Now, this is all according to this, okay? This is your basic story, your basic history, not necessarily what happened. Okay, the revolution triggered several developments that helped shape the environment in which Al-Qaeda emerged. A U.S. military presence in the Middle East. After the revolution, the United States had lost Iran as a major ally. To maintain influence, the U.S. strengthened ties with Saudi Arabia and the Gulf monarchies. All those little countries that are around the straight across from Iran, across the water from Iran. They strengthened ties with Saudi Arabia and the Gulf monarchies. American troops in that region later became one of the grievances cited by Osama bin Laden. And he was part of the whole 9/11 thing, according to modern history. Okay, the conflict helped create global jihad networks, and that later evolved in Al-Qaeda. The regional ideological competition between Sunni and Shia movements contributed to the radicalization environment. The Iraq War and the rise of ISIS. Another major link is the 2003 Iraq War. After Saddam Hussein fell, Iraq's government became heavily influenced by Shia parties with ties in Iran, and many Sunni communities felt marginalized. The sectarian imbalance helped helped to create conditions that allowed ISIS to gain support among disaffected Sunnis. ISIS emerged directly from this unstable environment.
I found this on the web for help me create conditions that...
Okay, hold on a sec. For some reason, the helper on my phone decided that I needed help. Not yet. So ISIS emerged directly from unstable environments. So Iran's expanding regional network. Over the past decades, Iran has developed an extensive regional influence system, which isn't really working for them anymore. This included alliances with, its current day includes alliances with Syria, Iraqi militias, Hezbollah, and other groups. And I'm pretty sure they're in league with the group in Gaza. This network has allowed Iran to project power far beyond its borders. Many analysts say that redefined how power works in the Middle East, shifting away from purely state-to-state competition. The modern Middle East power structure now. Today, the region's power balance largely revolves around several blocks. The Iran-aligned blocks, which is Iran, Hezbollah, Syrian government, and Iraqi Shia militias. The Sunni bloc with Saudi Arabia, Gulf monarchies, and Egypt. Some external powers, the United States, Russia, and China. Gee, really? The structure emerged gradually after 1979. Before the revolution, the Middle East looked like a very different Iran. Looked very different. Iran was actually a pro-Western pillar of regional stability. The long-term domino effect. Many historians describe the revolution as one of the most consequential geopolitical events of the 20th century. It set off a cascade of developments. Are you ready for this? 6 right here, and there's probably a lot more. Collapse of the Shah's pro-Western alliance. Number 2, the Iran-Iraq War. Number 3, sectarian rivalry. Let's see. Sectarian rivalry across the region, excuse me. Expansion of militant proxy networks. A shift in U.S. military strategy. And conditions that later enabled groups like ISIS. Even decades later, the revolution still shapes global politics. You can tell this is written before what happened, what's been happening in Iraq. So in simple terms, the Iranian Revolution did not directly cause events like 9/11 or ISIS, but it restructured the Middle East in ways that made those developments more likely. It changed the ideological landscape. It changed the regional power balance. It changed the role of militant groups. And it changed the strategic environment of the region. Now, the cherry on top of the cake, so to speak, or maybe I should say the bottom layer, but I don't want to make this the foundation because it's not. But there were 3 other major global events that occurred in 1979 reshaping the world order. I'm just throwing this in as a little more information, that's all. So in that same year, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. Let's see, December 1979, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan to prop up a struggling communist regime or communist government. So what were the immediate consequences? The war lasted nearly 10 years. It became the largest Cold War proxy conflict on the late 20th century. And the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan supported Afghan resistance fighters. Boy, that turned out to be a real mistake, didn't it? Anyway, long-term ripple effects. So the first one would be birth of global jihadi networks. Foreign fighters from across the Muslim world joining the Afghan resistance. Among them was Osama bin Laden. The war created training camps, militant networks, and ideological movements. These later evolved into groups like Al-Qaeda. So let's see. It led to the collapse of Soviet prestige. The war drained the Soviet resources and morale. It really broke them. It broke them really bad. As a matter of fact, when it was all over with, it was only a year or two until détente happened, and the Soviet Union ceased to exist. Okay, so, and many historians see it as a major factor contributing to the later fall of the Soviet Union, 1991. I really wish I'd read ahead before I talk sometimes. So, see, Afghanistan instability. When the Soviets withdrew, Afghanistan fell into civil war, eventually leading to the rise of the Taliban. This instability later enabled Al-Qaeda to operate there. Isn't it funny how one little thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another? It's like all these events hold hands or something, you know, or like a domino effect, like I said earlier. Okay, the rise of Deng Xiaoping's economic reforms in China. So Deng Xiaoping, although reforms began in 1978, 1979 was the first year they took full effect. China shifted from strict Maoist socialism toward market-oriented economic reforms. And they did it quite quietly, too, folks, and they didn't want to admit that Maoist communism didn't work there. Okay. Let's see. So what changed? Private enterprise was gradually allowed. Foreign investment entered China, and special economic zones were created. So what's the longer-term impact? The rise of China as a global superpower. Let's see. Over the next 4 decades, China's economy grew more than 30-fold. Today, the People's Republic of China is one, the world's second largest economy, and two, a technological and manufacturing giant. Most of the world's manufacturing moved to China. This is what global manufacturing shift. Okay, many of the companies here, I remember in the United States, realized that they could use slave labor. Although they would never call it that, to manufacture things. I mean, if you've had an American worker, and it costs, let's see, he's making a toy, and the toy cost 5 man hours, to make. That's a lot of money, unless it's streamlined and stuff. But anyway, however, if you keep people that you're forcing to work and you don't pay them very much or feed them at all, then you can get a lot of work out of somebody for nothing, basically, and incur a profit when you sell it across the sea. So this transformed global trade, supply chains, and economic power balance. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. Let's see. The oil shock and energy transformation. That's number 3. The 1979 energy crisis. Boy, we lived through that. That was not fun. And that was President Carter. When the Iranian Revolution disrupted oil production, global oil supply fell sharply. Oil prices more than doubled in a short period, but they're nothing like they are today. Immediate effect, inflation surged across Western economies. There were fuel shortages all over the place. An economic recession spread. Let's see. Long-term consequences. I'll tell you one right away. That prices go up and they never come down. Countries began investing in nuclear power, renewable energy, and energy efficiency. Strategic petroleum reserves. The United States expanded its strategic petroleum reserve to buffer against future shocks. Let's see. Energy geopolitics. Huh. Okay. All right. Energy geopolitics. Energy security became a central pillar. All right. A religious and cultural turning points. The Iranian Revolution also triggered a wider revival of religious politics globally. Across different regions in the late 70s, you see Islamic political movements rising, evangelical Christianity gaining influence in American politics, and renewed religious activism in many societies. For example, in 1979, the Moral Majority was founded in the United States. I don't know if that really went anywhere. I don't know. I mean, they spoke a lot and they complained a lot, but, nothing like today where things are actually getting done. Okay. So many scholars say that this marked the beginning of the global era where religion returned to politics after decades of secular dominance. Okay, let's see. Many scholars say that this marked the beginning of a global era where religion returned to politics after decades of secular dominance. Okay, a year that reshaped global power, and it's number 5. That's where I got the 5-year thing from. Maybe I'm turning dyslexic. I don't know. When you combine these developments, 1979 becomes a remarkable turning point. So political transformation, Iranian Revolution reshaped the Middle East. Military transformation, Soviet invasion changed Cold War dynamics. economic transformation. China began its rise to global economic power. Energy transformation. Oil crisis altered global energy policy. Cultural transformation. Religion re-entered politics worldwide. So the long shadow of 1979. Consequences of that year are still visible today. Modern issues tied to 1979 include the U.S.-Iranian tensions that have been going on ever since 1979. Afghanistan conflicts, global jihadist movements, China's rise as a superpower, and energy security debates. All right. In many ways, today's geopolitical map was largely shaped by events that began that year. So what do you think, folks? We did before, during, and after, basically, a history lesson and a future history lesson. So it's going to be interesting to watch as it unfolds. I know that today, or was it yesterday? I can't remember, but the new, the Crown Prince, they call him, Reza Pahlavi, has called out to the Iranian people to start their, get ready to start their rebellion. And I guess somehow people are getting guns into Iran, and I'm talking about regular people, not the army or the bad guys, but the good people are getting guns. And it's only a matter of time before there's fighting out in the street and everything. And should that happen, I pray that goes quickly and that they drop the bad guys real quick, you know. So anyway, folks, I'm going to get out of here. I have a subject I think I'm about talking about on Thursday. If I could remember it, that would be really awesome, so I could let you know. It's fun getting old, isn't it? For those of you that are in your late 60s like I am. It's every day's an adventure. I think I must have lost my car keys about 15 times in the last 3 months. And I put things down and I don't remember where I put them. The thing here is the dog collar thing that we got. This dog is Rocco, and he tends to get a little wild from once in a while, and he doesn't listen. Well, you have to play the little beep beeps on it, and he straightens right out because he knows that the next step is a buzz, you know, and then one after that's a shock, but we don't do that. But so anyway, yeah, it's been fun. It really has. So and I still can't remember. This is terrible. Terrible. Well, you'll find out on Thursday, okay? I'm going to get out of here, folks. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May make his face to rise upon you and be gracious unto you. May what you're going out and you're coming in, you're rising up and you're lying down. May he give you the peace that passes all understanding. And may you have a truly wonderful, blessed Tuesday afternoon, evening, night, and Wednesday. And even Thursday during the day. And we'll be back. I'll have another video posted Thursday night. So it's fun doing these, folks. It really is. And the sooner we can get this sleeping problem taken care of, I really want to go live again. I just love doing live video online. It's awesome. And until you do it, you're not going to ever understand why it's so awesome. But it's not that I like seeing my face up there or anything else. It's just that I don't know. If there's for some reason audiences get bigger when you're doing live shows. When I started doing this now, this format where I'm doing them and then uploading them, about half of the audience drops out. Why? I have no idea. So, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. So, anyway, keep Iran in prayer, okay, Iran in prayer, that everything works out there. Keep the finances of Opposing the Matrix in your prayers, because they're not good at all. But Yahweh will see us through, I'm sure of it. So, anyway, folks, I'm going to get out of here, like I said. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and And a good day tomorrow. That is Wednesday, and we'll see you on Thursday, okay? Hey, God bless you all. Love you guys, and can't wait to be with you again. All right. Bye-bye.